So we are a small, intimate group, so this will be very more like, you're my panel, this is a panel discussion kind of thing, interactive. And the topic is the future of youth entrepreneurship with new approaches for sustainable progress. I am Darlene Ajayi with Bowie State University. Just a little bit about me. I've been at Bowie for 5 years as the Associate Director for the Entrepreneurship Innovation Center. When I first went to Bowie, we were the Entrepreneurship Academy. And since we have now moved, we are in our brand new building. And a fun fact about me is that I actually own 3 businesses in Nigeria. And at that point, when I was living in Nigeria, I did not consider myself an entrepreneur. I was simply trying to earn revenue that I could exchange to bring back to the States. I had 20 years of entrepreneurship education, and 5 of those years was here in Baltimore City as a public high school teacher in the city, right down the street. If you're of a certain age, you will remember Walbrook High School, but I actually taught at Walbrook High School for 5 years. And then I spent 12 years with an organization called the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, NIFTY, as the Baltimore-Washington Regional Program Director. So entrepreneurship, I love it. It's part of me. For quite some time when I started teaching, then I realized like, oh, that stuff my grandparents were doing, it wasn't just their side hustle, they were actually being entrepreneurial. And I will even share the fact that I have had several entrepreneurial journeys, but I have found that I have become very risk averse. So I love teaching about it, but that I want to know my paycheck is in my account every Friday is what makes me live better and think better, but sharing the knowledge and the benefits of entrepreneurship is really what I enjoy every day. So now we're going to talk about who's in the room. If you would just give your name, your role, whether you're an educator, if you're K-12 or post-secondary, if you're an after-school provider or community, etc. And then if you have any experience in K-12 or K-16, and a fun entrepreneurial fact about you. So I've already put a videographer on the spot, so we're going to start with him and then work our way around the room.
Okay. Yeah, so I am Kevin Ewing. I am a photographer and a videographer. I just recently opened a studio in Bel Air, Maryland. I also have a photo booth and a 360 booth. I've been shooting for probably about 8 years now.
Oh, 360 booth.
Yeah,
that's the rage right now, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Hi,
my name is Paloma Leon. I work at the Choice Program at UMBC. We work with underserved communities in Baltimore. I'm the Assistant Director of Vocational Programming there. And fun entrepreneurial fact, but I'm from Chile originally. And I used to have a granola entrepreneur business. It was really hard, a lot of work, so I know it takes a lot. Now I just work here. That's what I do now.
Well, nice to have you. And a little bit about the Choice Program. That is sort of like an alternative program for
so
you.
So we have 2 main areas of choice. One is the intensive advocacy area that works with kids that have been referred from the justice system. They need to do community hours, and then the other area is the jobs and vocational area where I work for. It's more a preventive area, so we try to work with the kids and mentoring programs one-on-one, create goals, and try to keep them out of the streets before it's too late. So.
When I was working in Baltimore, I worked with the Choice Program many years ago. Yeah, so I'm a bit somewhat familiar with it. With the Cherry Hill, I don't know if you still have the Cherry Hill
we
location.
do still have that.
Okay. All right.
Hi, I'm Anna Tatro, and I work at the West Baltimore Renaissance Foundation, and we are grant makers for the west side of Baltimore, and I oversee youth mentoring programming, and the grantees that we have. Quite a few of them are involved in entrepreneurship type ventures and education. So for me, it's just I need to know more about it so I can support my grantees better. And a fun entrepreneurial fact for me is at some point I had lost a job due to the company shutting down, and I started my own cleaning business. And I did did that for a couple of years, but it was very lucrative, but very hard work, physical work. And so I'm like you, I want my benefits and my health insurance, so did not continue.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Brian Sturtevant, Director for Strategic Initiatives and Community Partnerships at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. I have responsibility for economic development in our West Baltimore neighboring communities. We operate a makerspace at our Community Engagement Center and are in the process of renovating a local recreation center, Poppleton Rec, and have plans to expand our makerspace into that space. And we're interested in developing and providing entrepreneurship training for young adults and K-12.
So we definitely have to connect our makerspace. It's small, but it's mighty, and so yeah, we're looking to expand as well. Well, we'll talk about it later because definitely we're both on the right track. Okay. No, I know so.
Okay, great.
Hello, I'm Myron. I am small business owner. I own Austin Auto Systems. I'm the one that sells the projector and screening here, and doing some of the work downstairs as well. She asked me to say who I was and what I do. I've been in the industry for about 10 years. I've been working as an entrepreneur for the last 4 years. So just small service, AV business in Baltimore.
Thank you. Stepped out on your own with confidence and a contract.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I don't like working for people, so that's my issue. So it was always easy for me to just be an entrepreneur and be okay with knowing that if I don't work, I don't eat. I'm okay with that. So I can't, that 9 to 5 thing is just not for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us. And again, this is going to be like very interactive, more of a conversation, and I can sort of lead it. But again, you all bring valuable input, particularly because we're kind of all a little bit different. We're seeing entrepreneurship with different lenses and particularly different outcomes. But at the end of the day, it's all about making Baltimore a better city, more economically stable, and offering alternatives that will be a positive impact on our communities. So a little bit about Bowie State. So I was very fortunate to go to Bowie right after our current president, Dr. Amita Bro, came on board. She is the 10th university president at Bowie State, the first female. And from day one on her arrival on campus, she made entrepreneurship her mission. And it's not just entrepreneurship in the College of Business. She believed that every student should have an entrepreneur experience. So when I talked about in the beginning, when I first went to Bowie, we were part of the Entrepreneurship Academy as part of the College of Business. We reported to the dean, and we only worked with business students. So within a year, we had been moved out of the business College of Business into the Office of the Provost or Academic Affairs. So with the executive director, our team, we report directly to the provost. So what does that mean? It gives us access to the entire university. We're not limited to the College of Business, so we have computer science students, we have the College of Nursing, we have arts and sciences. So it's all about engaging the entrepreneurial mindset for all of the students on campus, which was a little easy. The toughest group was the faculty group. So with faculty, again, if you're say you're a nursing professor, the last thing you want to think about is even what is entrepreneurship, how does entrepreneurship apply to my students? So I will admit that the faculty were a little bit more challenging, and over the last 2 years we've done a lot of training and introducing the faculty to the entrepreneurial mindset, how it impacts them, as well as preparing their classes to be more entrepreneurial in their content. As I mentioned, we moved into a brand new building 3 years ago. It was actually 2 years ago. It was actually built during COVID. On one wing is the sort of the red brick side. That is the residential side. It's 543 beds, but it is the entrepreneurship living learning community. And then on the left hand, the lighter colored brick on the bottom floor, that's where our Entrepreneurship Innovation Center is located, along with a cafe. So with entrepreneurship being such a focus of the president, also when she came on board, it's not about just having entrepreneurships in the classroom, having entrepreneurship and innovation entrepreneurship staff. She wanted a building, and that living learning building. So the building is open to all students, undergrad and graduate students, and then they do have a component where they do engage with entrepreneurship either through the residence hall resident advisors or through our office. And as part of our pathway that we encourage our students, or the journey that we encourage our students to take, is whether you have an idea or whether you are further along and you came in from high school, you're already generating revenue. So we try to plug them in where we think that they will fit best. And so, as I mentioned earlier, why entrepreneurship is so important, particularly, in the state of Baltimore, in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, and globally, is the economic impact, particularly in under-resourced communities. The other piece is innovation. When we think about the students that are in the middle school now, they are really our future workforce. And that creativity that they have at elementary, middle school, we want to make sure that we continue that use that creativity to think beyond their community from a global perspective, how they can make change. And then social change. Again, innovation is what's going to sort of break barriers, I believe. So why entrepreneurship is important, but also the revenue that it generates in a home, in a community. And the current landscape, there are educational programs both during the school day. If you think about, anyone from the school system. So in the school system, if you think about career technology education, some of us may have grew up calling it vocational education, where you have students that are now can become certified in dental hygiene, you can become certified in cosmetology, you can become certified in Microsoft products. So students are leaving high school with the opportunity for college credits and also certifications. And so many of those students are using those skill sets now on how they can turn that into revenue while they're thinking about college or while they're in college. One of the biggest issues we have at Bowie is the amount of barbershops and hairstyling that's going on in the dorm rooms. But most of them have their license. And so that is one of the issues that we're grappling with right now, is to find a space on campus where it would be the equivalent of like booth space. We're very fortunate that we do have two students. One is a master barber certification, and they actually have a mobile unit that they drive and bring on campus. And then we do have another individual that has a mobile locks. So again, these are both students that have turned their entrepreneurial venture from, just doing it here or there and creating these mobile salons to come on campus, which again, we love that much better than them doing the hair and nails in the dorms. But again, for some students, that's how they generate their income while they're in college, is those types of services. Technology influence. I will say I was at an event last week, and you know how you wear the name tags and you create one. I will say I'm an AI junkie. I don't know it all. I admit our students know more than I do, but technology has so influenced how we think about entrepreneurship. And whether you're in elementary school, middle school, there is technology that they are already comfortable with, that we are learning how, for some of us, to use. But the ability of having such powerful technology tools is making it so much easier to generate business ideas, to refine those business ideas, to help you identify your customers, to help you come up with your revenue streams and amounts. And then support systems. So when we think of support systems, and this will also be later in the presentations about some of the challenges, is that for many urban, under-resourced community, finding that support system is just not there, or it's lacking. When you think about bringing entrepreneurs into the classroom. And the best way for a student to learn, from my experience now, is that they've got to talk to someone that's been there, done that, and understand the same level of challenges that the student may be facing. And it's really hard sometimes with mentors and coaches if they don't understand the student background or the industry that they're in. Culturally, if they're unfamiliar, it's hard for them to provide the advice that's needed. Access to capital. For the adults in the room that are entrepreneurs, I'm sure most of you bootstraps, dug deep, family, friends, and whatever, and sacrifice to start businesses. But access to capital, startup funds always remains an issue. Regulatory issues, we're working right now with about 10 students that have food businesses. And cottage industry, granted, things have lightened up a little bit, but understanding what can be prepared at home, what requires a commercial kitchen, why you must have food handler license. I'm not saying the issues are wrong, but for young people, it's always difficult sometimes for them to understand, why they need certain licenses, what can and cannot be prepared at home. And then also, when to register a business. And we see a lot of that on our campus where other students actually have businesses to help students register the business. They're not generating sales, but they want to register a business. And so more education around regulatory and bureaucratic policies are really needed. Market access and competitions. Market access is, for those students that are doing what we call service industry, but those things like hair braiding, fashion design. On our campus, we have a department of fashion design, fine arts. I would say we probably have 300 students that on our campus that are designers, and helping them really understand what is your unique value from the other 299 students, in addition to the faculty members that have design businesses. And so for us at Bowie State, it's really competitive when you say you are a fashion designer or you have a clothing line, because the first question will be what sets you apart. And we get answers like, oh, this is unique, this is mine. But one of the good things about Bowie State, and again, going back to our president, is where there's opportunities for students to provide services or resources to the university as, quote, contracts. So it is very competitive for students to gain the opportunity. But for instance, we do have student items in the bookstore. And it always becomes challenging because when one student is accepted and one student is not, then that generates what sets them apart. And you really have to go into details. And sometimes it's hard for students to understand that, your words that you've printed is not as unique as you think. But what we are trying to instill, failure is still learning. And just because you may have lost one contract, there may be another contract down the road for you. But students have got to learn early on that failure does not mean failure, it means growth. Mentorship and coaching, I talked about that. And then scaling and sustainability, and that really goes back to things like access to capital. So if you're in your classrooms now, whether you're an after-school provider or you're teaching entrepreneurship in a course, it's really, can the business scale? And I will be very transparent, and I wish I had a photo here. Sometimes the businesses don't have to scale. We had a student, when I met him, he was a sophomore. He graduated last year, and his entire college education was out after tuition. He was very lucky, he was on a scholarship, but after tuition, he funded his lifestyle using a button maker. And that button maker, he had such a great marketing campaign. So if you were doing a kid's birthday party, if you were in athletics and wanted to promote your game or your position, if you were running for office on campus, that's all he did. Or you were an entrepreneur, and he made buttons in his dorm room. And when he was graduating, that was his gift. That was our first makerspace gift. While we had ordered equipment, the equipment hadn't come in, he donated his makerspace, his button maker to our makerspace. And I will say it is still one of the most popular items because again, it's very easy to use. It's, you can, whether you're doing 5 buttons or 25 buttons, in our makerspace you can do up to 50, and we will provide the material for free. So it gets a lot of use, and students really enjoying it. And we've had a couple of students that are now doing a smaller version of his business. But again, it was a great kickoff for our makerspace. So what's working in entrepreneurship? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think is working, but I'd like to open up to the floor for feedback from you all. Experiential learning activities. When I started teaching entrepreneurship, I was given a textbook, a workbook that could only be copied, students couldn't write in it, and it was based on, let's read the chapter and let's talk about entrepreneurship. And I did that for one semester, and it was boring. And one thing about entrepreneurship is you got to do it. And so I went on to do things like introducing taste tests, like we're going to do competitive advantage. What's the difference between these two boxes of cereal? We ended up doing business plans and competitions, but actually allowing them to either work individually or in teams to come up with business ideas. And the first semester I did it, it was really challenging because everybody in the class said they weren't entrepreneurs. And then as soon as okay, so who has a hustle? And of course, that resonated with the students. And some, I will say, some were very legitimate, some weren't. But again, one of the things, one of the organizations that I worked with early on, and one of the first business plans that they shared with us is a t-shirt business plan comparing it to someone that was selling illegal drugs, and did a comparison between the two. And for the first 3 years that I was a teacher, that's what I showed, because our students where I was teaching understood that other lifestyle. But then when you compare it, the risks involved, they could see the difference. So yes, we had students that day one said they want entrepreneurship, and then at the end of the school year, yes, they want entrepreneurship, they were proud to be. And I would say by the time I got to the end of the year, I met parents that I had never saw before, but when it's time for the business plan competition, they showed up and wanted to know how they could get involved and what similar programs was available for them. So even though this is about youth entrepreneurship, the interest in the community, the willingness and wanting to know more on how to launch a business, how to get started, and the support that's there, I think it resonates well with the entire community. Real world projects. Anyone familiar with the United Nations Sustainability Goals? That is one that I have used for several years, and it's 17 goals that the UN has identified that are impacting all of us as global citizens. And that's an example of one that I use where we give the classes, choose one of those goals, and then how would you determine an entrepreneurial venture around one of those goals. A lot of places use innovation sprints, some people call it case study, but allowing students to take on the role of being an advisor to an existing company or organization or a real world problem, and let them come up with the challenge and solutions to it. And I think that gives them that real world experience to understand what's going on, because again, a lot of our students live in very close-knit communities where they tend not to venture out. Close-knit community. And with doing these innovation sprints or real world projects, they really, now Chip. Is that Chip?
Hi, doing? Mr. John.
Chip?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I just got off track. Okay.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
That's a former teacher, now entrepreneur, so nice to see you. And internships. And internships, while we think of internships for students that are going into the world of work, internships, career readiness is just as important for entrepreneurs. Because as an entrepreneur, the likelihood of you graduating from high school or college and having enough revenue to support yourself is very unlikely. So we do encourage students to have those internships, understand what's going on in the industry to better prepare you so you can be competitive. And I always recommend students work 5 to 6 years after you graduate so you have a nice nest egg, and certainly continue to work on your side hustle, your venture, your app, whatever, as you're progressing. But the bottom line is you have to have an income. And so internships are a great lead-in terms of career readiness. And what we try to do is place our entrepreneurship students with startup companies, because they sort of understand the lean methodology. So coming in and they can actually work with owners or key people to understand the progress the company has made, where it started, and the growth. So the students have that understanding that, you know, you're not going to be Bill Gates overnight. And that reality check often comes with doing internships. Digital tools and online platforms. AI and ChatGPT and all of those, you can now, in 1 hour, have a business plan. Your financials, your marketing strategy, all of that. And there is a workshop later on this afternoon. So if you are working with young people and sort of unfamiliar with ChatGPT and how it can be used in small businesses or just for startup, I would strongly recommend that you attend that session.
What is that session?
I know it's this afternoon, and I know it's I think it says AI. I don't think it says ChatGPT.
Yeah, it does say AI.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend that session because I will be there. Yes. What's working for us at Bowie State is this interdisciplinary education program. So at Bowie State, we do have an entrepreneurship track in our College of Business. We also have an entrepreneurship, but to take that track, you must be in the College of Business. 3 years ago, we launched a entrepreneurship certificate. And so that is open to any student on Bowie State. So you can complete the certificate in either 12 credits or 18 credits. Thinking about if I'm a biology major and I don't see entrepreneurship in my future immediately because I'm trying to get into dental school or I'm planning to become a doctor. But taking that certificate program gives you the opportunity to understand that entrepreneurial mindset. And one of the things I will say, as we think about students, even from primary school, entrepreneurship should be introduced to them and continually introduced to them again, it's part of the growth mindset, and we will prepare them to be very competitive as they go into the world of work. Global connectivity, again, with the internet, Web 2.0 tools, we're interconnected. And as entrepreneurs, as students have to understand, and as career seekers understand, you are really competing in a global market. It's just as easy, it is easier to set up a factory abroad, but at the same time, how does that impact us here in the States? So thinking about, if I'm a producer or I'm an entrepreneur and I need a prototype, do I always have to go overseas to get that prototype done? And those are some of the things that students have to think about in terms of being connected, but the number one connectivity is you are competing in a global market. And what you may think is a great idea, that's where research really has to come into play. Customer discovery must come into play to find out who else is doing what you think is so unique. And policy support. And I would just say, for me, policy support is more about grant funding, startup funds that individuals can use to help launch and scale their business. Any Morgan, Coppin, or Bowie State graduates in the room? Coppin. So the University of Maryland system has $50,000. You can apply for up to $50,000 in grants. And I'm usually the first person that says, as an entrepreneur, there's no grant money. But for the past 2 years, the University of Maryland system has had grant opportunities from $2,000 to $50,000 that you can apply for if you're an alumni of the system schools. I'm sorry, Morgan is not included. It's Coppin, University of Maryland, Bowie, Eastern Shore, Frostburg. But if you see Ron Williams and you can say, Darlene, send him, you want to learn more. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for grant fundings with no equity, and for that no equity piece will put a smile on your face, right?
Absolutely.
Applications close May 6th. So just keep that in mind, and it's a very simple application. You do have to be very detailed on how you're going to use the money. Is it measurable? So for instance, I have students that are using it to apply for their fund their legal fees because they need to form a partnership. We have other students, they're creating an app, so they're going to hire other students as coders. But whatever you're applying for, can it be measured? So, let's go back one. Okay. Leveraging technology, we sort of talked about that. Stronger ecosystems. And by ecosystem, who's supporting you? Who's doing what you're doing? And we can't always look at everyone as competition. It's building that support network, that ecosystem. I will say I'm at Bowie, but we have a great working relationship with Coppin, with Morgan, UMES, Georgetown University, because these are, for what we do, we need to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is the issue we have, this student has this business, can you offer some insight? Building your ecosystem, and as students, you've got to help them understand ecosystem, networking, whatever they want to call it. They've got to have those individuals that are going to challenge them, but also support them in their growth and idea development. Non-traditional funding, because again, if you're a young person, you have no credit. And most young people that I know, very few have the family that can afford to give them $10,000 to launch that business or buy that first set of inventory. And this is where non-traditional funding and such things as Kickstarter, crowdfunding, and I've seen some very successful crowdfunding opportunities, again, because it's all about what some really at branding of who I am and telling your story. So I know there's one organization here in Baltimore that does a lot of workshops around non-traditional. Is it North? What's the co-working space on North Avenue? Anybody know?
Impact Hub.
What is it?
The Impact Hub.
Yes. So they do workshops on non-traditional funding. And I'll throw another name out. James Peterson from M&T Bank. So if you're ever looking to do a workshop or learning more about crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Kiva, all those ones, James Peterson at M&T Bank is a great resource. And social ventures. I would say 25% of the individuals that come to us at Bowie State as students want to do something for the greater good of the community. And so that is always a challenge, like how are you going to generate revenue or earn income? But I will say students coming to us now are very passionate about wanting to give back and wanting to make a bigger difference. And while they see their entrepreneurial venture, that giving back is really, really more important. And I tie that back to we're now more of a global community. The students that are in our classrooms now, they grew up with technology. And so they are connected much more. And, this ties in with, today's celebration around makerspaces. When we opened our building, I'll step back. When I was actually working in Baltimore when OpenWorks opened, and so I was very familiar with it. And when we were designing the new building at Bowie State, the makerspace, well, we don't know, yes, we don't know. It went back and forth for about 6 months whether or not we were going to have a larger conference room or a makerspace. So we did sort of win out. It's only 300 square feet, so now we have more items in storage in the closet than we have in the actual maker spaces, but it is one of the most popular popular rooms in our building. We have the 3D printer, we have the glow forge, we have podcasting material, podcasting equipment, photography equipment, the 3D printer, the laser cutter. We don't have a vinyl cutter yet. We have drones, we have cameras, and sewing machines. And I will say the sewing machines, I don't have a picture of that. We have 6 sewing machines, and while we have a fashion department, the equipment in the fashion department is only for students in that particular department. And so the sewing machines, we do 3 sessions a semester. And again, this is where we're tying in our campus entrepreneurs. So we have our designers that actually can design, cut, and sew. They do our workshops. And we pay them a stipend to do the workshops. And we've done things from pillows, to aprons, to pouches. But again, it's one of those ones where students want to learn how to do it. And giving the students that are designers the opportunity to teach others, they are really excited because now we have more students applying to be our facilitators than we actually have a number of workshops that we can offer. But providing that stipend is really that extra added incentives because we know a large portion of our students are on financial aid. We have a community member. She came in, she has, she sells items at flea markets and other events, and she wanted to branding, so she created a t-shirt and then a cover for her laptop. We've done for this one, the one on my right is during Teacher Appreciation Week. And we actually opened it up where students could come in, they could make a t-shirt for their faculty member as a thank you gift. They could create a card because we had just become an Adobe campus, or they could have created a bookmarker using the Glowforge. And so students come in, and the way we're set up is they first have to take an online safety tutorial. They pass that, they register, and then they come in and can use the equipment during our office hours. So we are looking now to expand it. I think we're close to getting permission to knock out one wall. That would give us more access, because right now we don't have a window for extract, particularly with the Glowforge. So we are looking at ways to improve the ventilation for more equipment.
You mentioned that a community member came in and made some items. Do you have any programming available to non-students who are just coming in from the community? And is that
So when we have campus tours, like we do a lot of high school tours, so we will do something and show them how to make, like we do keychains a lot, because you can do it in mass and quick. We are looking to expand the TEDCO grant. Do you remember TEDCO? Yes. Okay, so the TEDCO grant, we're planning to apply for that. If we get that funding, then that will allow us to expand for the community and add additional programming that would open more of our equipment to the community. So fingers crossed. If not, it's depending on funding. So yeah, so this particular one, it was one Saturday that we opened up to the community. And so she was able to, well, she had been coming in anyway, and she was a BSU alum. And so coming in, but even for the high school students, and I know Prince George's County has some makerspace equipment at different libraries. But again, when it's all centrally located, that's what the high school. So we're right now working with Junior Achievement. They want to bring students in over the summer to do something, so we're working through that. Okay,
so those students are from local high schools, maybe county high schools, or?
They're from Prince George's County, public and private, because you apply for Junior Achievement summer programs in Prince George's County. So just working through the liability issue is the number one, and then what can the students do, because they will only have one day on campus with us. So if they've come up, so what we talked about, if they know, one group may do t-shirts, branding, whatever their business is. Another group may do something where they're more closer to prototyping that can be done on either a 3D printer or the Glowforge. So that each team will come away with a product. So we're still in the design phase of that, but hoping that if we get funding, we do want to expand and offer more workshops. College Park and the engineering department at College Park has been a tremendous help with us. That's where we started when we were approved for the makerspace, and we literally did a tour of makerspaces and bringing it up. And we also now need to hire additional staff if we're now going to be open, because right now we're only open 8 to 8, and the plan is Monday through Friday, and the plan is we want to do a Saturday opening, so that again it's more accessible to the community. So I guess now is, I've sort of shared my information. Is there any other, ideas and suggestions on the direction of youth entrepreneurship that you all would like to share, or a challenge that you would like to share? I do believe makerspaces, and again, some people call it tinkering, some people call it innovation, but it also provides that hands-on when you're trying to figure out a prototype for your product. A makerspace is a really great, inexpensive way. So we do have one student that had an idea, then it was translated to paper, and she's probably been through 4 variations of her design, and now she's just getting ready to the point where she had an initial one that she made on a 3D printer, but now she's actually getting ready to work with the manufacturing. There's a manufacturing organization in Baltimore. I can't think of the name of it, but it's the MBDA Manufacturing Center, where they're actually now helping her to create that first real prototype. But as most of you will know, creating prototypes based on an idea or new product, it is a process, and it is expensive, because then you tie in the patent issues. And again, we're very lucky now that we've now formed a new relationship with the Cary School of Law. So again, that's an added resource to our students, where your initial consultations are free, and then we have a small pocket of money that if you need, like the patent, if you have to actually file the patent, we have a small pocket of money that students can use, which is competitive. So we do want to vet your idea. We want to show that you have to show us you're on the road to having a patent. But those types of things are what we're looking at now. And we've been very lucky that we've identified a couple of donors that are interested in supporting students through their patent search and registration. We have another donor that's very interested in creating a venture fund. And for an HBCU, Bowie is a small institution, to start off with a $25,000 venture fund that students can apply for. It's a really big deal for us because we haven't had it, because again, access to capital, that initial startup funds are very challenging for many under-resourced communities. Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit more about what you do at Cary School of Law?
So the Cary School of Law, they are providing us with speakers and students, initially to review ideas, and then like with partnership agreements, articles of incorporation. And so those are the things that there is a law professor and then her students, depending, and it is a process because again, I think she has them for a whole year, but they work with our students. They're going to be doing a workshop for us. Now the individual that I'm working with, she is not the patent attorney, or that she doesn't teach the patent and copyright. That is another professor. So we haven't had the opportunity to join that queue where they will actually work with students on registering patents. For the patents that we've done so far, it's been with attorneys that are offering pro bono services. So they will offer the hours for free, but when it comes to filing the patent, the filing fee, that's where we will help students. Any other questions?
I would love to hear more on how you're using the UN sustainability initiatives to help students think about social initiative in their companies.
So I've used it multiple ways. So for instance, all freshmen at Bowie State have to take a one-class session with us. And so it's the pre-work with the professor that brings the students. They have to review the UN goals. And then in teams, they have to identify one of the goals. And maybe it's women's education or something, or access to clean water. And then they have to research that goal before they come to understand the problem. Then when we do our presentations, now let's think about what is a solution to that problem. And then as a solution, we want them to brainstorm, come up with several, what are some of the solutions. Now look at your list of solutions. And once could you come up with a water testing kit as an example. We want students to start thinking about, there is a problem, what is the solution? Would people pay for that solution? And whether it's an individual or a government. So that's one way of using it. Another way of using it is to then have students research those goals and then identify an app. So we've used it for computer science students that we work with. Look at those goals and what would be an app that could be created to solve that for the global community. Not so much as an individual entrepreneurial venture, but as a good for the society. What app could be developed to solve those problems? Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So we got 3 minutes left. So we have some people that came in late, and so I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourself, and I think we'll be right on time. The front row.
Hi, I'm Kelly Ruiz. I'm with Junior Achievement Central Maryland, and I am the manager of our entrepreneurial experiences.
Okay, so were you here when I was talking about Junior Achievement? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're looking forward to working with the Prince George's cohort in July. Okay.
Excited that too.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Bernal. I work for Baltimore Court, right across the street actually, you see our office, and I am the Deputy Director of Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship there. So we're revamping our programs, and youth entrepreneurship is definitely one of ours.
And do students create social ventures, or?
We mostly focus on social innovators and social entrepreneurship. It's actually it's not necessarily just exclusive to college students, it's
Community.
overall.
All right, thank you.
I'm Cameron Cartwright. I'm actually an adjunct professor here at Coppin at the College of Business. I'm a cosmetologist and a custom cake designer.
Now, when did you get your license?
Cosmetology?
During school or after high school?
During school. Yeah, I did an apprenticeship during undergrad.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, my name is Angela Taylor, and I am an alumni.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sonia Cartwright, and I am an alumni as well from the business department. And Cameron is my daughter; she's speaking next, so she told me about it, and I wanted to come. But
And so, what's your topic?
We're talking about multiple streams of income and why they're important.
Okay. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Akman Keenan with the Mayor's Office. I'm Employment Development Program Manager of the Young Professional In-School Program. So I'm kind of like blowing the program up and restructuring it. And entrepreneurship is going to be a real big part of it. So that's why.
So I will say, so I put a smile on my face. So I worked in taught in Baltimore, then worked in Baltimore. But I will say one of the best programs I did was YouthWorks. And students were, as opposed to going and working or interning in an office, they actually did an entrepreneurship program for the
we have a couple this summer that's coming forward.
And I just think those are some of the best programs.
They can be. They definitely can be. Definitely.
So here's my contact information. So if you'd like to follow up with me, have any questions, please don't hesitate. If we can do any joint ventures together, we're always looking for scaling because of scaling and supporting, because at the end of the day, it's all about supporting the community and growing our entrepreneurial landscape in the area. All right. Well, thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
You don't have a business card?
No, I was going to bring them, but I switched bags. So I do still have business cards, and I have a QR code, but I left them all at home this morning. Okay. Yeah, yes, we're all done. Okay. So we do